Welcome back. I hope you're ready for a hot and steamy episode of Oxygen Not Included, because today we're going to be taking a look at the natural gas geyser power plant and trying to make it self-sufficient. If you remember from some of the previous episodes, the two results you get out of just a natural gas geyser sort of sequence where you're just pulling it out of the natural gas geyser, running a couple of natural gas generators all by themselves, you get polluted water and electricity as your two primary yields. You can change this up to where you just have fertilizer and electricity, but you have to use water, clean water. And that clean water has to come from somewhere, normally a steam geyser. Like way up here, this sort of crazy thing. And this is a direct result from the comments you guys left on my last video. It's from like Carlos right here. Just an example, there's 31 references to steam here, but awesome video. Do you know the best way to produce steam? I'm never able to find magma, and batteries, tricks, and stuff like that are not working. And there's also several other comments talking about steam as far as, you know, trying to essentially get your polluted water converted to steam, then use that steam to run the air scrubbers, and maybe you end up with a little extra clean water at the end. That's kind of what Timothy is talking about here in his comment. And there's many more talking about similar things. It was so popular, I figured I had to focus on steam. So with that in mind, I've tried several things to make steam. On accident, I've created steam here in the natural gas generator chamber all by itself, but that really isn't sustainable because, well, things get hot. And if you're cooling things down, then they're no longer hot enough to make steam. So I don't think that's the best environment right there to create steam. I tried creating a bunch of batteries inside of a chamber right here that heated up a lot of stuff. It did get to 111 degrees Celsius. However, it's not a very stable thing. I tried to turn these light bulbs off once it reached a critical temperature, but it didn't work. And I've tried this in several different ways and it still struggles. So I tried liquid tepidizers a little bit in kind of a cascading arrangement there, and that really didn't work, but there is some promise to that. So far, a chamber like this is the best way that I know to create steam here in the agricultural update. Matter of fact, you guys pointed me to this forum page here, this post by Grimjaw, where he kind of has this chamber up here with a liquid tepidizer in kind of a unique arrangement, having two blocks right there that are kind of up on top, and then you have a liquid tepidizer on top of that so that it can function. And then it has a couple of puddles or spots for water to pool beneath that, and for whatever reason this gives off a lot of steam. Now there's more topics on this sort of post right here. I'll have it linked in the description down there below if you guys want to go ahead and read through all of this, but right now this seems about the most productive way to make steam, and quite a bit of it actually. But as you can see, I've kind of done a little bit of testing right here, and I did have some problems with things overheating, and eventually the lines that I was trying to use to cool the steam got too hot, and then things burst because it converted into, you know, steam inside of the pipes. So liquid turned to steam inside the pipes, they burst, and I had some problems. So I have to find a way to stabilize this chamber in order to get that clean water out of the system and then recirculate the polluted water. So we can see here in Grimjaw's picture that he's got a little pump down here which is constantly powered, and that recirculates the polluted water that doesn't get turned into steam every time it droops past this unit. So I'm going to take a lot of cues from this, but I think one thing I'm going to add to this is a zero energy liquid filter so that I can separate the water from the polluted water without using any sort of pumping system. And that's something I did in one of my previous episodes, so if you want to go ahead and, you know, check out the playlist, you'll definitely find it right there. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to take this and then try to build a new power plant, but focus on sort of steam separation. It'll be a little bit tricky. I'm not sure if it'll work, but we'll see by the end of the video here. Alright, so this is the plant setup. Let me go ahead and run you through it. On the top left here I have the gas pump and some extra supporting equipment that's in that same chamber right there. So I added the power transformer and the battery, which I've always had set up with the atmospheric switch, except for it's all in that one chamber. We'll see if that maintains a good temperature or if it overheats. Hopefully not. This is like my most compact setup yet. So taking a look at the power, you can see some crazy stuff here. Pretty much a lot of stuff is going to run off the main line right here, including these 3 thermal regulators right now. We'll see if 3 is enough. I've tried it with 1, it wasn't enough. 2 was maybe 3, I'm not sure, I haven't tried it yet. The idea though is that I want to make sure that this area over here is cooling down sufficiently once I start getting all that steam in there. The other things I have is a lot of supporting equipment, a lot of pumps and all that fun stuff that's running around. Taking a look at the liquid system, we'll see that all the polluted water is going to be running directly up here through a liquid valve, and that'll be dripping directly onto this liquid tepidizer right here. Now the trick to this liquid tepidizer is actually leaving 2 blocks open on the end right here. So this seems to work. I'm not sure it'll continue to work after another update, but for right now this seems to be our best bet. So we'll see if that functions properly. Looking at the gas system here, I have the natural gas coming into the natural gas generators and then a couple exit valves, so all the carbon dioxide in this area kind of attempts to cool some of this stuff down. And then the air scrubber will remove that once it gets some clean water. And then you can see kind of a hydrogen bubbler system that I'm going to have set up here. That's going to recirculate through, and this is my radiator design, so that should hopefully cool things down. I'm doing a little less cooling right here in the middle because I don't really want to drip onto the liquid tepidizer right in the center if I can avoid it. And down here on the bottom, I'll set up the separation units so that polluted water will drip into the center while clean water is dripping out to the outside. Now normally I would turn these liquid vents on and off just to kind of like get a little drop there to set this stuff up, but you can go ahead and check out my other video as far as setting this up as far as filtering these waters without power. Again, I'm not sure if this is going to maintain in the next update, but this is something that works currently, so I'm just going to use my cell painter right now to take care of that. I'm a little crunched for time, so I'm not going to worry about it. And then I'll put dirty water right here, and then when I unpause the game, there we go. So that should filter out correctly as things are dripping down from the sides of this and all that fun stuff. So long as it doesn't get too hot and then kind of bubble out. That's what you don't want. As far as the medium for gas that I'm going to have up here, the best gas I have for transferring heat energy is going to be hydrogen. So I'm going to fill this area up with some hydrogen. Hopefully not too much. We'll see how much I have. Oh, I got way too much. Alright, so one thing I forgot here is that I need to liquid cool all of this equipment inside of here. So in order to do that this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually try to use a little bit of a radiator system. So working with wolframite, because that's easily available, I'm just going to do this number. So as the polluted water runs up, hopefully it'll take some of that heat energy out of this. Alright, Lindsay, your job here is done. Things are up and running. Now I remember from my previous calculations here that I should have 1,180 or so average watts available to me. So just a little bit over 1,000 watts. So I should have quite a bit. Okay, now one thing I noticed about these thermal regulators is that they say that it's always going to drop the cooling factor by 14 degrees Celsius. So that's something, interesting. It's always going to drop it by the same amount of temperature regardless of how much energy it would take to actually drop that mass of gas down. Whoa, this thing got hot. 200 degrees Celsius. What's going on down here? There we go. See, I forgot a little bit of pipe. So that's what was going on here. Gosh, and those thermal regulators, they put out some heat. Alright, so I got to turn on the steam machine. I need some clean water, because right now my air scrubber is not going to do anything. Hopefully I'll get a little bit of liquid up here. Come on. You can do it. I think this is going to want to be set to about 4,000 or so. There we go. Yeah, there's a little drippage. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to charge the system a bit. Start it off with a bit of clean water. Starting from dry doesn't seem to be working all that well. Alright, so just taking a look at the temperature of the liquid that's running through this pipe here. It's starting off at 40 degrees Celsius and it's ending at 42 degrees Celsius. So it's really not moving a lot. I'm not sure if that's a very effective way. Might actually want to cause a little bit of a drip. Just cool some of the rest of this stuff a little bit more. Alright, so here's an interesting problem. I ended up with sand blocking my liquid tempedizer. What a pain. I don't know how that happened. But there we go. Now that I've unsanded my liquid tempedizer, you saw there it created steam just for a moment. I'll try to slow it back down, see if I can get that to happen again. There we go. See, look at that. Alright, so that created a bunch of steam. But I'm getting sand in here for some odd reason. And my gas pump is blowing up. I can't stand the temperature. Oh, you know what? That's because this guy isn't running. I disabled the thermal regulator. This is a crazy system. All right, get running. Cool things down. This isn't complicated at all. It's hot. Everything's too hot. Oh gosh, my thermal regulators are too hot now. Quick, abandon ship. Okay, I clearly need... I need a liquid valve up here. I'm going to go ahead and set this down nice and low. Just a couple hundred grams a second, just to get a little extra liquid dripping down here. And that should hopefully start to reduce the temperature on some of this stuff. Yeah, it's dropping. All right, we're getting back into a safer zone here. But this stuff over here is still quite hot. Unbelievably hot. Look at that. 150 degrees Celsius. What? Look at all the steam. Oh no. Well, this idea hasn't worked. Alright, so clearly I need to have a thermal switch that operates this liquid tepidizer. Because right now, I'm melting everything. By a lot. Alright, so liquid cooling over here. There was one question, maybe asked a couple of times by your comments, by the way, as far as this natural gas system over here. The radiator is definitely not equivalent to the drip cooling. The drip cooling is a much more effective way of cooling. Oh. You get where I'm going with this, right? Maybe the idea isn't to pump through a radiator system, but run a gas pump and just let it vent. You know, an open system as compared to a closed system. Maybe that's the trick. Alright, so now that the temperatures are back under control, let's re-enable the liquid tepidizer and see what happens here. Hydrogen steam! Lots of steam! And it's overheating again. So out of curiosity, since I have all of this gas pipage going on here, what if I take this pipe and I just run it past this? I know it's not terribly effective, but it might be enough to protect the system. Okay, so it's not overheating, at least when it cycled that time. And it's definitely making plenty of steam. Temperature-wise, it's hot. Okay, I gotta lower this number. No, you're getting too hot. How about 107? Alright, so if we start to watch this at an accelerated rate, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert this stuff down here, get rid of some of this water, so hopefully the area is dry. We'll also hook up this pump over here, because what I want to see is if I'm actually getting clean water out of this system now. It may not be set up perfectly, but if we can get clean water out of a setup like this, that might be a really useful way to use a natural gas generator. Or geyser. And generator. And hopefully not get a bunch of sand, but hey, you know what? Sand isn't bad. Don't know why it's forming. Like, in clumps like that, but there it is. Okay, so this thing is still jumping up in temperature too much, so let me drop it down below 100 degrees Celsius there. Alright, so some things did not work out, but hey, let's give it another try here. Let's not give up just yet. I got too much steam building up down here in order to use kind of the no energy filter thing. So we'll bring the granite pipes down like this, and hopefully that will work. So from a liquid standpoint, I am getting the polluted water that's traveling back through here and then it's kind of cycling around a bunch. So that is working. Alright, so there we go. Now I'm getting more steam. Now that I've turned this thing down a little bit, let me bring it back up. Let's say 90 degrees or so. We'll deconstruct it, build it again, see if it starts damaging itself. Also make sure to dig this away. There we go, it's gone. This is truly wild. Everything that's going on here. It is working though, it seems like, although now I'm getting a little bit of damage over here. My gosh, there's like liquid everywhere over here. It's just wild. I don't even know what to make of this. Okay, so I will say this about the system. Even though it's not running perfectly at the moment as far as, you know, things being crazy and all that, it is running off of its own water output. And it is still self-filtering, even if it does look like chaos. It is... it's working. I don't know if I trust it, but it is working. So if we look at the liquid here, you know, things are starting to back up, which is what we would expect. We get over 300 kilograms a day of polluted water out of this natural gas geyser once you've used up its energy. So that has to go somewhere. So it ends up here, essentially. Alright, so I think I got this system working alright. I think I need more steam though, because I'm just cooling and cooling and cooling. I'm making everything super cold. So I gotta go ahead and, I think, try to get a little bit more steam out of this thing. So I gotta let it run just a little bit longer. See, now I'm getting big puffs of steam out of here. You can see how this is working. There it is, big steam, and then turns right back into clean water there. And then these pumps take care of them. I don't seem to be damaging my tepidizer at the temperature I'm at now. So I might take it up a little bit more. Up to 85 degrees Celsius. Alright, so now that I'm running this tepidizer more, I can see that the hydrogen inside of this is definitely not as cold as it used to be. It was going down and down and down. Now it's at negative 100 degrees Celsius as compared to like 120. Temperature wise though, this is one hot sucker. Look at it. Woo! This is a real kind of crazy thing to try to balance. I mean, the liquid pump down here, you know, you start to build up a little bit of this water and now it doesn't run. So that causes your air scrubber to not be able to scrub, and that causes the carbon dioxide to overpressurize in here. Causes your generators not to function. This thing's a beast. Not to mention all of the equipment here. Once that starts happening, now it's got its own problems because it's starting to get hot in here. Alright, well unfortunately tonight I simply don't have the time to work through all the little bugs and all the details for this system. But as a proof of concept, running straight from natural gas geyser and getting a little bit of electricity and clean water out of this system, it looks like it is possible. And there's a couple different ways to produce steam. This liquid tepidizer thing, obviously it may not work in the future, but it's kind of working right now. It's kind of an interesting take on how to set that up, and it seems like if you set this near around 90 degrees Celsius or so and have some cooling lines or whatever, it should work. Probably the other takeaway for this is that these thermal regulators, they put out some pretty good heat. So maybe the thermal regulators are the way to go for creating steam. That might be the, you know, they might be the ticket. Or maybe they're not the ticket. Maybe we gotta take these, we gotta move them up top so that when I liquid cool things, I make sure that these are getting a good flow over them, which is not really what's happening right now. I'm trying to work between gas permeable tiles and mesh tiles and make it rain just right. And while it's easy to do for the generators because they don't seem to put off much heat, these thermal regulators really do seem to be putting off quite a bit of heat. So they're a little bit harder to cool. So I think there's some definite takeaways. Let's go ahead and take a look at the reports though over the last couple of days. You can see here the previous day, yesterday, that was 327 kilojoules, 240, 260, 216, 223. So I've seen more or less an average of right around 200 and some. We see here they have 300s for a couple of days. These numbers are all over the place. It's not real consistent, and this system is not optimized at all. More of a proof of concept, and I think we can see that there's definitely some potential in this system right here. At any rate, that's all I got for you guys today. So thank you guys for watching. If you found this video somewhat informative or enjoyable, let me know down there in the comment section below. You guys always let me know as far as different comments and different recommendations. Obviously, there's some good ideas and potential stuff to optimize this setup, and I'm sure you guys can give me some feedback on that. So thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video, and if I've earned your subscription, then thank you so much for that. And thank you guys for all of the support recently. It's been absolutely awesome. Stay awesome. Peace. Brothgar out.